Man, it is too early for stuff to be flying in my eyes. Hi. How you doing? Top to the AB in gaming news. There was a few things that happened. Let's see here. There is a new trailer for Super Mario Brothers. There is a Witches of the New World trailer, as well as an Aliens Dark Descent trailer. So without further ado, let's get this thing started. Hi, I'm Anthony, and if you are new here, consider subscribing. We actually troubleshoot and help people with their technical issues and PC gaming issues, and subscribing will help us grow the channel and help more people. Thanks. Alrighty, starting this to look more like an actual show. I feel like I'm getting there. It may take some time, but hi, how you doing? How you be? Top to the AB, and I hope everybody had a good day at work. Hope everybody had a good day at school or college or whatever it is that you are currently doing. My name is Anthony, or TheOpenForum, and we don't play video games exactly on this game. On this podcast, we are essentially gaming adjacent. So we essentially help people who have gaming issues or PC issues or tech support issues or networking issues. You name it, we troubleshoot it. So without further ado, there's a few things that I wanted to talk about. Before we even get started here, I did want to talk about Diablo Immortal. I didn't get a chance to talk about it previously because, well, I did, but essentially I don't think anybody heard it. So let me go ahead and do this and then do this. And then, yeah, so here, what we'll do is, I think all these trailers are actually pretty short. So what we'll do is we'll watch the trailers first, and then we'll come back and talk about Diablo Immortal while it's on my mind. Oh, I'm sorry, not even barely in a shot. Oh, no, I was in the right way. Okay, there we go. Alrighty here, so.
Hello, and welcome to this exclusive first look at Aliens Dark Descent. In this short preview, we reveal what kind of experience awaits you.
Alien looked pretty good, I'm just saying.
Dark Descent is a real-time, squad-based tactical action game. You are the commander. Marines are your weapon. You are tasked with investigating a sinister uprising that caused a vicious xenomorph outbreak on the moon. Your squad is controlled fluidly and intuitively as one unit, where any command you issue is automatically dispatched to the Marines best equipped for the task. Whether you're using mouse and keyboard or a controller, we want you to be fully immersed in the world and the iconic Aliens experience.
You know what to do.
Lead strategically. Enter combat without breaking stride, slowing down time at the touch of a button, just enough to distribute tactical orders with military precision. Tread carefully, though, because death is permanent in Dark Descent, and losing a Marine in combat is irreversible.
Shut the doors!
Forge unique paths for survival. Explore large open levels to complete story missions and side objectives.
Come out friendly-like, yeah? Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Level up your loyal Marines with special abilities, perks, and gear, and customize the squad composition to optimize each run. At Tindalos, we're extremely excited to bring this game to all fans of the legendary Aliens license, and to all the real-time action strategy fans.
What you mean you don't respawn in real life? I had no idea. I had no idea. Well, wow. Okay, cool. Aliens Dark Descent. It is a strategy RPG where you only get one life. That is a thing on this game, apparently. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which is Witches of the New World.
Two loves I have of comfort and despair. Which like two spirits to suggest me still. The better angel is a man right there. The worse her spirit a woman colored ill. To win me some to hell. My female evil tempted my better angel from my side, and would corrupt my saint to be a devil, wooing his purity with her foul pride. And when that man angel returned, suspect I made yet. Not directed. And me both from the both to each friend. I get one angel in another hell in another. Yet this shall I ne'er know, but I leave it out. Till my bad angel fire my good one
Okay, so Witches of the New World, it's you play a pilgrim in Salem, and there are witches, and you have a sword and a hat coming to a system near you. Yo, this may be like one of the dopest games end up being, but you know, they're not saying anything, so I'll provide the commentary. Okay, that's gonna be a no. That's gonna be a no. Okay, wow. Okay, well, this is why I don't. Okay, so essentially, yeah, it just showed a ghost spirit who didn't have any clothes on. Essentially, is what just happened. So yeah, I'm not doing that. Well, I mean, it did, but you know, they were covering it, but it was a bit much. So we're gonna move on and go to the next game, which is Mario Brothers Movie.
Bowser's on his way. You have to evacuate. We are going to stop that monster.
How? Look at us. We're adorable.
For that.
Let's drive. I got this.
Only in theaters April 5th. Rated PG.
What is this place? Luigi, are you in there? Luigi! Where am I?
You just got Luigi.
Only in theaters April 5th. Rated PG.
Okay, it would be kind of cool if Luigi actually went into a haunted mansion. That would be so sick. But apparently that's just a basically, it said like it was a new trailer, but it's not actually a new trailer. It's just a combination of all the old trailers put together. But yeah, Super Mario Brothers Movie. I'm more excited about Super Mario Brothers Movie than I am about Sonic, because Sonic, they were making you excited through hatred instead of happiness. Whereas Mario, they're making you excited through happiness instead of hatred, right? Because like they had him looking like a cat talking about meow. One of the trailers, and everybody blew up about it. They were like, how dare you ruin my childhood? But this one right here, I mean, you know, Mario looks pretty good. The character cast, I mean, you know, it's kind of hard to play a plumber these days. So, and then do everything but plumbing. So, you know, there you go. But without further ado, let's help some people. All right, check out these headsets. I don't think I need them right now. It has some serious noise canceling, so sometimes it's a little hard to actually talk. But now we can go ahead and get things started here. So this first one here is going to be an Xbox support ticket, so remember to tell people to reboot. So disk drive excessively loud when installing games. Hey y'all, I got my Xbox Series X last September and the disk drive has always been a bit noisy from time to time. Lately though, the noisiness has become more consistent, and when installing games, specifically the console, even vibrates ever so slightly. I've seen some folks over on our Xbox Series X mention putting from pads underneath the console to mitigate one or both of these issues, and it seems to have worked well for some users. Has anyone on here tried that? Did it work? Would something like a large mouse pad accomplish the same purpose? Also, for context sake, I keep my console horizontal on this specific stand. Okay, so he has his console on like a shelf, you know, like the shelves that you used to put TVs on back in the day. So that's where he has his console located. Thank you in advance for any advice or suggestions. So basically, whenever he uses his disk drive, it vibrates. So typically what you would want to do for that is trying to get something with some rubber. So basically, so that it can absorb the impact. So that's what I would say for this one here. Now, have I experienced this? No, I don't use the disk drive, but that's what I would recommend. So for this one, I would say anything with rubber will do the job. On my speakers, like for example, if you live in apartments, so I used to run into this situation when I was a kid, like when I was younger, and like I would always live upstairs because you don't want to have somebody above you making noise because you can't do anything about it. But if you're above and somebody says you're making noise, you can do something about it, right? You know, or just ignore it. So you're in a better position if you live upstairs than you are if you live downstairs. So I've always lived upstairs, and so if I had speakers in my place or whatever, when I used to live in apartments, I would actually put like a, you know, like the exercise mats, you can get like them in strips. I used to get those and just put it underneath the speaker so it would absorb the impact of the vibration. He would just need something like that, something nice and small and something that's like fashionable, almost like a coaster. But I mean, I wouldn't use wood in this case because it's already on wood, but I would just put it like a little rubber coaster and use that instead. And because I mean, it's not like the Xbox is huge, but a stand that can help with the vibration dampening would probably do the trick. So for this one, I would say anything with rubber will do the job, like a rubber stand or rubber feet, like a rubber stand or rubber feet. I don't really use a disk drive anymore. I don't really use a disk drive anymore, but I use this method for subwoofers all the time. Hope that helps. Yeah, you know, is this dying? Yes, because you know all the consoles waged war against GameStop when GameStop was actually GameStop, when people actually liked working there. And so what ended up happening was, instead of, you know, kind of going all in against GameStop like Xbox did, you know, they kind of just let it trickle out and let it meticulate and go down on its own. And it's pesticides would probably be the best word. So GameStop and other companies of its ilk have not been able to sell CDs as much, simply because you can now just download it digitally and you don't have to get up and go anywhere. Basically, it's like DoorDash, but for video games. So there used to be a program that did that. It was called GameFly, and I'm not even sure what that is anymore. So over the years, it appears that people have made it so that it's not exactly useful to have CDs. So, you know, he may have one now, but I'm not exactly sure if he's going to have one in the future. It's just like that these days. It's just really hard to find people who use CDs anymore. It's just, you know, it's not a thing. It's not something that you see on a daily basis or a daily occurrence even. But without further ado, Xbox support person, that's what I would recommend. What's the name? DMM Doblum? Okay, Mr. Doblum, that's what I would recommend. Something with rubber, anything with rubber. You can generally find feet and stuff like that. Now, I know it does have some feet. Like I'm looking at it right now. It looks like it's a little elevated off the ground, so it may have some feet, but it may need something better because it looks like it's not able to help with the impact and the vibration of the drive. Okay, that is a desk. All right, next up here. Oh, this is long. So this is from the, oh, no. If I keep reading these names, I swear I'll be demonetized before I'll be publicized. Horrible Wi-Fi speeds, no channel interference. Hey everyone, TLDR, 2 different routers, no channel, other Wi-Fi interfaces, still horribly slow Wi-Fi. I've been pulling my hair out trying to find the cause of my horrible Wi-Fi speeds. 21 megabytes. I want to say bytes because that's the way he did it. He did it specifically with a capital B, so I'll say bytes, even though I think he means bits, but whatever. Is the max I can get 5 feet from the router. Okay, so he definitely means 20 meg. 20 megabits is the best I can get, 5 feet from the router. And he says, with a clear line of sight from my laptop, Intel dual band AC7260. Same with mesh mode. Wired into the router, I get 90 megabits per second. Wired to the mesh node. Wired the node to the router back to the 90. Wireless still 20. All of my Wi-Fi devices experience poor speeds. 2 laptops, a tablet, 2 phones, 1 desktop with a TP-Link dual-band Wi-Fi card. I had similar issues with my previous router, but it was old and outdated, and I assumed that was the issue. I live in an older remodeled house, the mountains, and have minimal interference from any neighbors. 2 Wi-Fi scans show that I'm basically alone. The next best 2.4 gig channel is roughly negative 90 dB, and there are no other 5G channels showing up. My 2.4 gig reads around negative 35 dBm, but my 5G only reads between 55 to 60 decibels. Again, I'm less than 10 feet from the router with a clear line of sight, so I expect to see a better 5G signal. Oh, sorry, my nose. The only thing that helped a little was enabling 160 megahertz. I was getting 10 to 15 megabytes before that. This router was working as expected at a friend's house before he gave it to me, and he lives in a much more congested area than I do. It's back to factory settings with 160 megahertz enabled, and he is stumped. Okay, well, okay, he didn't exactly talk about anything that is with the house. So you say it's direct line of sight from the router, so nothing interfering, correct? The reason why I asked that, because I just want to make sure, because it sounds as if there may be something in the home that may be interfering with the signal level, or it may just be the router itself. What happens if you are right next to it, but still on Wi-Fi? What are your speeds then? Are they better, worse, or the same? If it's better, then you may have a weak signal on the router, and I would consider an update or range extender. If it's worse, then replace the router. Replace the router. If it's the same, then try to update the firmware or test a update the firmware. Try to update the firmware. Firmware. Also, is there a difference in speed between the 2.4 and 5 gig bandwidths? So we want to make that distinction because I'm a little curious as to what's going on between the 2.4 and the 5 gig bandwidths, right? Because it could be a situation, like I've run into situations where the 2.4 gig bandwidth is really, really slow, but the 5 gig is fast, and vice versa, depending on the situation and where you live. So, you know, if you live in a more industrial area where they have stronger routers and they have newer equipment, then a lot of times the 5 gig can be congested and the 2.4 is actually available. So it really kind of just depends on the situation and where you're at. He's out in I had to catch myself. He's out in a podunk town. I was gonna say butt bump nowhere, but we're not gonna say that. He's out in the middle of nowhere. So he doesn't really have anybody that can actually interfere, more than likely, but it's a possibility that maybe there's a lot of metal in his home. We don't exactly know the setup of his house. So, you know, 100 meters maybe through a couple walls, but I think he said he had direct line of sight. That's why I just wanted to make sure. But that's what I would say for this. You know, if it gets better when you're closer and it gets weaker when you're further away, and then like let's say, you know, you're on Wi-Fi and you're getting 60 when you're close, but when you're further away you get 20, then you just need a range extender. But if it's, you know, the same, then maybe you need to update the firmware or replace the router, because, you know, if it's giving you 20 on average and everybody who connects up to it is getting around 20, then it may be a limitation of the router itself, or it may be some issues with the router. And the best way to try to troubleshoot that is just to get a new one and then test the differences. Now, it seems like all the routers that you've had in the past are also older routers. So it's a possibility that maybe they have some limitations there depending on how many devices you have enabled. Okay. Oh, Diablo. That's what I wanted to talk about. Okay. So this game here, this was interesting. Was it pretty? Yes, it was very, very pretty. However, there was some things that I ran into. For one, the Barbarian class is the one that I normally played. Typically, I run Paladin. I run support on everything. It's what I do. So I run support on just about every character. But because they didn't have a Paladin, I ran Warrior because the Warrior is the closest thing to a support. So I was like, okay, well, let me try Warrior. I tried it out and I thought I was doing okay because it's not like the Atlas or whatever from Path of Exile. And it's not like the skill tree there. You got like 4 options, right? And you can pretty much read it and figure out exactly what you need to do. It's not like a million, right? So I was like, okay, cool. Let me try this one, and then this into this and this into this and whatever. And I was going Cyclone because I go Cyclone on Path of Exile and just about any other character that I can get a Cyclone on. So I was like, okay, cool. Let me try Cyclone. And Cyclone was, what's the word? Okay. It was okay. But here's the thing. The bosses that you run into will tear you up. Like you can't expect to just sit there and run Cyclone and get away with it because they'll jump into things like they'll jump into a maelstrom. Like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to go into a maelstrom with you? Like, I'm supposed to sit here and wait while you sit here and like what is it? Snipe me from within the maelstrom? I can't even go to you. So they do things like that and they try to keep you back. Like that was probably the worst situation is that people kept running away. So like when you start up the Cyclone, they were like, oh, whoa, calm down with the Cyclone, my man. And they just started backing up. And I'm like, why are you backing up? So then I got this ability that it makes it so that you pull in enemies so they can't run away. So they'll back and you'll pull them right in. So that was sweet. So you kind of have to have certain skill sets to make it useful. But at the same time, it's not great without defensive cooldowns. You'll get smacked. I mean, you will get straight smacked because you don't have any defensive cooldowns, or if you only have 1 defensive cooldown, like you had to turn yourself into a tank just to beat bosses. Like that part I didn't really like. I wasn't playing on like the worst tier. I was playing on like the second to worst. So it wasn't the worst thing in the world or bad or anything like that. I actually enjoyed the game. I liked it very much and I will be playing it. It's just that for this game here, it was just, I just didn't like Barbarian. I thought he was kind of weak. And then, you know, I had to put so many points in defensive utilities and cooldowns that it made him weaker, you know? But at the same time, I can go through this entire dungeon, pull every single mob and kill them all at the same time and won't die. So it became good after a while, you know what I mean? So it's a mixed bag when talking about Diablo, you know, because you can look at it one way and just be like, okay, well, overall, was it a good game? Yes, of course. It was beautiful. The graphics were beautiful. The bosses and mechanics were beautiful, but a lot of the bosses were kind of repetitive. But at the same time, the only class that I played was the Barbarian, and he felt underpowered, then super tanky. So if they had like the Trinity, like I get that there's like a Trinity support, but if he had like the Trinity where it was a tank, healer, DPS, and he was meant to be the tank class, that would have made more sense, right? But there's no Trinity here. Everybody's just damage. So for me, it just seemed like it was better to just run him with all DPS and just kill everything because nobody can hit you if you're dead. But that's not true. Everybody can hit you even when they are dead because it's Diablo. So overall, I think I really like the game. I think that it has a lot of promise. I think it felt like Diablo 3-ish, you know? It didn't really feel like, okay, I've only played Diablo 3, but it didn't really feel like Path of Exile or Lost Ark or any of the other MMOs. It felt like Diablo 3. It felt like Diablo 3 without the Paladin. That's what it felt like. So, you know, mixed bag, but I think that overall I would give it like an 8 out of 10. So overall, I think it was actually really good. But back to helping people. Alrighty here. So let me check that, make sure we're good. Okay, cool. So this is, what is this? Oh, so let's look at this real quick. This is from competitive mode. I want to change my gamer tag PSN and wanted some ideas, recommendations, would really appreciate it. So apparently his name is Your Mom's Fat Butt 1. I got to put that 1 in there. So yeah, I used to do this too. When I was like 18 and 19, or I wouldn't even say 19. I would say maybe like 14. My first email was like pimping. And I was like, you've never pimped a person a day in your life. Why would you give yourself that name? And it was just, I don't know. It was just, I don't know. I thought it was cool. And I thought it was like, oh yeah, I just be doing this. Like, I've never done that before. That'd be like, you know, oh, I'm from the streets, I'm from hood, and you from like Greenwich, Connecticut. Like, you know darn well you've never pimped anything in your life. So to put that as your name and your profile for your email address, nobody's gonna believe that. But at the time, it seemed like a cool thing to do when I was a kid. And then when you start trying to get jobs, they be looking at you like you crazy. Like, so what's your email address? So it's my initials. And then there's a few other letters in there. You know what? I'll just write it down for you. And you know, I don't really want to say it out loud. You know, I don't want anybody to pick up my email or anything. But I'll be up there lying. So then I had to create new email addresses because I just couldn't keep it explaining to myself why I had such a stupid email address. They were like, "What is wrong with you? Are you trying to get a job or are you trying to get fired?" That's two different places to go here. Because if you're trying to get fired, I can help you with that. But that's the way it was like, man. It was just, I don't know. It just seemed cool at the time. So I definitely get his plight. When it comes to changing PSN names, you usually have to create a new account or open up support ticket. And there are 250 comments. So I assume that this is the way. I assume that somebody's already helped him with that. But yeah, this is the way. I'm surprised Sony hasn't forced him to change it, let alone allow it to be this. You know what? I'd be surprised too. Some of the things that people allow, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, that is a thing. Well, okay. To be fair, the person with his username was playing Grand Theft Auto 5. So, you know, there is there is some correlation there. Like you can generate a graph off that information. So, hey, alrighty, competitive mode. Good luck with that. Alrighty, so this is from Solid Professional, and Solid Professional writes, switch it back, because I think it's just all text. My Series X won't interact with the home screen of my two newest games, Saints Row and Wolong. I remember this. It's not a controller issue. The Xbox just won't interact at all with the home screen of the games. I can open the games, but any kind of controller input won't work at all. So he can open games, but he doesn't have any type of controller input. Sure, what happens if you plug the Xbox controller directly? Does it work then? Does remote play work? Also, the smaller of the two between Saints Row and Wolong, go ahead and uninstall it, then reinstall it to see if it makes a difference. It is also spread to another game. He's talking about Apex Legends that is spread to. And I said, I just saw your second reply. Okay, so do you have another controller? What happens if you pair the faulty controller with your phone? Does those buttons work then? He says, I have uninstalled both and reinstalled them multiple times if the controller is not faulty. Remote play doesn't bypass it, sadly. Okay, so the multiple times. I uninstalled both and reinstalled multiple times, and the controller is not faulty. Remote play doesn't bypass it, sadly. Okay, when you mean both, do you mean both games or do you mean both controllers? When you say both, do you mean both games or both controllers? Controllers? I promise I don't know how to spell. When you say both, do you mean both games or both controllers? Let me scroll down so I can see that. Okay, so when you say both, do you mean both games or both controllers? Let's say he means both games, and so he's tried it with 3 games now, and he still has this issue where it can't control anything in game. Did he ever mention whether or not it works wired? Here, actually, you know what? Cancel that so I don't. Let me just copy it, because I gotta see if he actually mentioned whether or not. I think he did. But I just want to make sure. I've done that. It does nothing, and no plugging in my controller does nothing. Neither does remote play. Wow. Okay. When you say both, do you mean both games or both controllers? Do you have another controller you can test? Do you have another controller you can test? If you pair your controller to your phone and play a game like Call of Duty Mobile, Fortnite, or Genshin Impact, does the controller work then? Okay, so I want to see if a mobile device can actually detect this controller and use it properly, because if it can and the Xbox can't, that's not a good sign. That means that he may have an issue with the Xbox itself being able to actually read games, or there may be a problem with that. You could also say maybe you could try to uninstall the game and reinstall it, but he had the issue with a third game that he just downloaded. So there's no real point in uninstalling and reinstalling. It's not going to do you much good here. Also, are there any games that do work? Also, are there any games that do work? Could you list them? He probably already knows. He probably listed. So yeah. So I'm kind of curious, because it almost sounds like it should be happening on all games. Because if it's only happening on some and not all, then then it means that you may be having some connectivity issues with the Xbox itself. And maybe the Xbox is just having problems. But if the Xbox was having problems, Xboxes don't discriminate when we're talking about Bluetooth connectivity. If it's going to have a Bluetooth connectivity issue, it's going to have it across all games. And it won't be just only one game. It'll be sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. So, and on top of that, we bypassed Bluetooth when we hooked up wired, and it still had the exact same issue. So it seems more like a controller issue than anything. But for you to say that, I don't think that it's not reinstalled in multiple times, the controller is not faulty, and you're saying the controller is not faulty, I think that it may be faulty. So, because the other option is that your Xbox is faulty, and if your Xbox is faulty, then all games would have the exact same problem. It would not discriminate between the different games that you play. All games will give you a problem. So I don't really agree with that. One of them has to be the culprit, and for you to say both cannot be the culprit, that's just, that usually gets you killed in the first season of Game of Thrones. I'm just saying. You gotta pick an enemy. Pick a side, bro. It's either going to be the Xbox or it's going to be the controller at this point. Especially when it goes wired, that's a very, very telling sign. If it goes wired and you still have the exact same issue, then it really sounds like you may have an issue with the Xbox. I would say you might want to try a wipe or a reset and then kind of go from there. But let's have them answer these questions first, and then we'll kind of go from there. Alrighty. All right. Okay, this is responsible. Oh my God. This thing is super long. Okay, y'all get ready. Y'all go get some bag of chips or something and get ready for a snack, because this is going to be crazy long. Okay, Responsible Coast 293. He has a 7900 XTX with Modern Warfare 2 when he's getting low FPS. Now, 7900 XTXs do have that 1% low that's a little bit higher than on the NVIDIA side. And I'm guessing that's probably what he's going to talk about. GPU ASRock 7900 XTX, CPU 5800X 3D, RAM Vengeance 3600 megahertz, and an X570 motherboard. It seems like no matter what I do, I can't break 170 FPS on Modern Warfare 2 benchmark. That's not a bad thing. 170 FPS is what I get with like a 4090. It's usually somewhere between 170 and 200. For you to get 170 on that sounds pretty good if we're talking about gaming in 2K or 2K. If we're talking about 2K, I don't really see you getting much higher than that with an XTX. I recently had upgraded to the 7900 XTX from a 3060 Ti and used GDU to remove old drivers to install fresh drivers. Initially, I had been using the 5600X, and after switching to the 7900 XTX, I couldn't break 170 FPS in Modern Warfare 2. My goal is to play 1440p, but dropping resolution to 1080p did not help increase the FPS at all, just improve 1% lows. Right, because dropping it to 1080p means that it's more CPU bound than GPU bound, and you have a 5800X 3D, which is one of the best GPUs around for gaming, but it's still, it's not going to make too much of a difference if we're already talking about you hitting 170 FPS. After digging on the internet, my conclusion was the 5600X, I thought you said you had the 5800X 3D, was causing a CPU bottleneck. So today I upgraded to the okay. So he had a 5600X, okay. And I upgraded to the 5800X 3D after seeing videos of others getting 220 FPS and 1440p max with that combo. Unfortunately, I'm seeing 0 FPS gain after the upgrade. My 5800X 3D is performing identical FPS to the 5600X at 1080p and 1440p. That just means it's not a CPU bottleneck. 160 to 170 FPS average. This is well below what I'm seeing in seeing other 7900 XTXs achieve. And I, for the life of me, can't figure out what is hurting my performance so badly. My GPU utilization hangs out around 85 to 95% in game. 5800X 3D around 30 to 40%, and the 5600X around 50 to 60%. What I've tried, wait, update until solved. I've experimented with render worker count in the config, uninstalling, reinstalling drivers, overclocking, undervolting GPUs, enabling BIOS settings such as XMP, PBO, Precision Boost Overdrive, and with either CPU, reinstall Modern Warfare 2, verify game files, and chipset update. I don't know what else to do and may wind up returning to 7900 XTX if a solution can't be found. Any help is greatly appreciated. Modern Warfare 2 is mainly what I play, but I'm seeing similar low performance in other games like Forza Horizon 5 as well. I gotta be honest with you. When you said 160 to 170 FPS at 2K, I really didn't think that was that bad. I have Call of Duty right now. Let me see. Let me check my video file here for Call of Duty. What was my frame rate? So Call of Duty, I was hitting 199, around 200. Okay, so I was hitting 190 to 200 and, well, here, what am I talking about it? I can just show y'all. Add an input, video device, create new. 1 second here, I can show you. Oh no, I'm sorry, not that. I'm sorry. Media source. There we go. Local file, browse. Hold on, give me 1 second here. Probably should have had this queued up already. I think it was on this one. Okay, there we go. So right here, just not even playing it, I was at 115, and then let me turn down the media source volume there. Okay, there we go. And so if we move it to an actual game here. Oh, that's very, very low. Hold on. That's not the right system. Hold on. That's not the right system. That was before. That is a 3090. Let me switch it back to this one. Yeah, this looks better. Okay. Oh, no. That's not, that's not it either. Hold on. There we go. That's the 4090. I have too many of them. All right, so the 4090, we're talking about. Okay, so granted, you know, the map that we're playing on is very, very chaotic, but usually I say somewhere around 190 to 2 something. So it's pretty normal to be around there. So for him saying that he was getting 160 on a 7900 XTX, this is a 4090. Now, granted, my depth is set to 110 or 120%. So if we lower it, it'll probably be over 200 and not go below that. So that's the reason why I'm like, man, it don't really sound all that bad, because when I'm playing on a 4090, I'm getting the exact same thing. So it's kind of an interesting one for it to be there. So I just thought it was kind of interesting. Let me make sure that the media source is gone to, yeah, it is. Okay, so yeah. So with that one there, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, because like I'm getting that too. So, well, not necessarily 160 to 170, but I was getting that with a 4090. So like my rig is a little bit higher end than yours, and I was getting something around that level too. I just made my settings like that, but so I should be somewhere around 200, and you being around 160 to 170 really doesn't sound that bad, bro. So at 2K, I really didn't think that was that bad. I was getting around 170 to 220-ish in COD, depending on my settings. I was getting 170 settings, so I didn't think you were that far off. I was getting 170 220-ish in COD with a 4090 and what was it? 7950X. 7950X. If you were wondering what the other two were, they were the 6900 XT was the first one. The second one was the RTX 3090, and the third one was the 4090. Depending on my settings, so I didn't think you were that far off. But what are your settings in Call of Duty? We can compare and see if there is something that is causing it in game. But I mean, it sounded perfectly fine, bro. Like, we were talking about a 5800X 3D with a 7900 XTX, 160 to 170 in COD on a 2K. Bro, that's pretty good. I gotta say, that's pretty good. We're talking 3090 is about what, 100 to 120. 6900 XT is about 100 to 120. They kind of switch places. Sometimes they're somewhere around 100-ish. Sometimes they're around 120-ish, depending on your settings. We're talking about an XTX, bro. Like, that's pretty normal. You might get 180-ish depending on your settings, but I mean, you're going to be somewhere around there. You're not going to hit over 200. Well, okay, you may not be able to hit over 200, you know, depending on your settings. Now, if you set it to low, it's a possibility. it didn't seem bad. It does not seem bad, because then you have to look at it like this. Okay, you're getting 160 FPS. If you got, Turbo Golfer, hey, how's it going, bro? So if you got something that was over 200, would it matter? Okay, let's talk about this, because I feel like not everybody talks about this too much. So if you are at 160, okay, I've played at my first monitor that I ever bought, okay, was $700. It was the Asus VG278H. It was 120 FPS and it was 1080p. I thought that monitor was the world. I thought you couldn't tell me nothing. I thought I was the man with that monitor, okay? Then I went from 120 to 2K at 120 frames per second. And then after that, I went to 144 hertz, and then I jumped to 165 hertz because I'm an idiot. And then I jumped to 240. Here's the thing. I have a 4090, okay? I have a 4090 in this rig for testing purposes, as well as we have 3090s and 6900 XT in our lab rigs in case customers have problems. I have never experienced a situation where I truly noticed a difference between the 165 hertz and the 240 hertz. And we're talking about not Call of Duty, we're talking about like Overwatch. And we're talking about not even noticing a difference. They felt exactly the same. And I play Moira. I'm one of the fastest characters in the game outside of Genji, and I still don't notice a difference. It's not that much different. I promise you, you might not even notice it, because it's just, if you're sitting at 160 to 170 and you're wondering why you're not getting 190, bro, like even if you have 190, it's not going to help your KD. It's not going to make that much difference. So, you know, I think that a lot of his fuss and muss maybe because a lot of times we get caught up in a situation where we're looking at specs and videos of other YouTubers getting these sort of frame rates, and then we equate that to us. And in doing so, it makes it feel like, hey, if we're not getting this frame rate, we're doing something wrong. And that's just not the case. If you're getting 160 to 170, bro, you're not going to notice much difference if it actually, let's say you get it to low settings or we make some change and now you're getting 190 on a 7900 XTX. You will not notice a difference whatsoever. Now, the quality will probably be a little bit less, but you won't notice much difference. So for us to sit here and try to play the game, you know, we have plenty of people to help, right? But we're trying to play this game where you're trying to go from 160 to 190. I think at some point in time, you have to tell people when it's time for them to pull away from the table if they've had too much to drink. And in this case here, you may have too much to drink of trying to improve something that really doesn't make much difference. I've fallen into this. I'm sure 90% of the gamers have fallen into this, but you going from 160 to 190 on a 7900 XTX is not going to make you better in game. It's just a fact of life. And the quicker you accept it, the more your pocketbook will thank you. So, public service announcement. I feel like I had to need to tell everybody. But that's the way I feel about it, man. We're talking about 160 to 170, bro. Like, it'd be one thing if you was talking about, hey, man, I'm getting 120. I saw that you were getting 120 on the 3090 and the 6900 XT, but I have a 7900 XTX. What the hell? That's a little different, right? And then we can troubleshoot that and take a look at it. But when you're getting 160, 170, bro, okay, I'm off my soapbox. I'm done talking. I'm done. I'm gonna leave it alone. But that's the way I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you got to tell people when it's time to pull away from the table, you know? And I feel like in our line of what we do in helping people, we have to let people know when they've kind of gone too far. Like, we've had plenty of people that were like, oh, hey, I went into the file and modified the database file in order to get this program to work. It's like, hey, bro, it's about time for you to pull away from that table, bro. Like, this is a little bit too much. You're going a little bit too far. And I don't want to be the person to enable you. Be like, oh, yeah, bro, just run that select statement on the query of the database and pull whatever you need out. That way, like, I'm not about to be the one that sit there and enable you. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to be the person that take the keys away and be like, okay, bro, you're going too far. It's not worth it. Why don't you just uninstall the game and play something else? You see what I'm saying? Like, that's the type of person I am. I'm not going to go so far as to hinder you. You see what I'm saying? I'm always looking out for the better interest of the person, regardless if they're not looking out for the better interest of themselves. That's what we do. That's what it means to be a support. We're looking out for you. Even if you're not trying to look out for yourself, we're looking out for you. And that's always the way I felt about it. It's just like, man, come on now. It's about time to pull you away from that table, bro. Okay, I'm done. All right, group 3, let's do this. Because if not, I'll be talking about this for 20 minutes. All right, adaptive perfection. Okay, I remember this. This was a Mac issue. And so he was having an issue with his Mac, and he was talking about he was having problems with Macy and Paste, right? And so what we ended up doing was we ended up going to those exact programs, and we were like, okay, well, when we went here and we took a look at, what was it called? Paste or whatever? Yeah, Paste. P-A-S, there we go. So when we went to Paste, right, it showed this right here. So we was thinking, okay, maybe he doesn't have a subscription. Maybe he's only on the trial version, and maybe that's causing his issues. He's already enabled his permissions, and he's not having any problems with that. But we were like, maybe you're having issues with permissions or something along those lines, or maybe something is getting in the way. So when we were talking to him, that's exactly what we brought up. We were like, oh, hey, you know, when we were looking at it, we saw that it was a trial, and then there was actual paid copy. So what exactly is going on with yours? So originally he was on 13.1. In our troubleshooting, we already upgraded him to 13.2.1. 13.1 is actually an older version of Apple iOS. It was actually the version that our Mac Mini in our lab is on. So we were like, hey, go ahead and upgrade to 13.2.1 and see if it makes a difference. He tried that. He still didn't have a problem. So we went a different route. So I said, oh, my apologies, didn't see your first response. Okay, well, do you have an iPhone or an iPad? Most people who have a MacBook have some form of the entire ecosystem, LOL. Try to install the program on another device to see if it makes a difference. I tried installing Paste on my iPhone. It works perfectly fine there, just as intended. Still doesn't work on the M2 Air 13.2.1 Ventura. Okay, well, I only have Mac Minis and MacBook Pros, but I can test the, okay, well, let me ask them a question before we actually do a recreate. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question before we do the recreate. Because we can just download the trial and then cancel the trial, but I didn't know for sure, you know, how far we wanted to go with this, because it's like, okay, well, we can do a recreate, you know, with the Mac Mini and upgrade to 13.2.1 as he did, and then try the trial and see if we have the same problem, because he's already enabled his permissions. But if we don't have the same problem, then you know, it may just be something on his settings. Let me ask you a question before we do the recreate. Did it ever work? Did it ever work even in trial? Or did you purchase first before buying the trial? Because what I'm trying to figure out, and I guess the best way to say this is I'm trying to figure out is if he's chasing ghosts, right? If it's never worked, okay, he's never ever gotten it to work, not even once in 13.1 or 13.2.1 that he upgraded to, then it's a possibility that there may be some settings that he may have turned on that may be causing the problem. I know he said that he turned on permissions to allow Paste to activate, but there may be something that he's missing. So, but at the same time, we've gone far with this. We've gone into the Paste Apple Store to look at other people to see if they were having problems with the same thing he was having problems with, and nobody said anything. So it's like, okay, well, I don't really see other people that are having problems with this particular application. And it's like, okay, well, when we try to download it, we didn't have any problems with it either. But at the same time, we didn't try the trial. You see what I'm saying? So it's just like, how far should we go with this kind of a situation? But we can go pretty far, because we can pretty much do the same thing, especially if it's a trial, if it doesn't cost anything. Let me ask you a question before we do the recreate. Did it ever work even in trial, or did you purchase first before buying the trial? Yeah, we'll go with that. If it works on iPhone, it doesn't work on the M2 Air. I don't have an M2 Air. I have a Pro and I have a Mac Mini, and obviously iPhones and iPads and whatnot. But yeah, we could possibly try on an M2 Pro, or I'm sorry, an M1 Pro, and see if that will give us the exact same thing. But you know, it's kind of an iffy one, man. I just think there may be something on his computer with his settings, but I'm not exactly sure what it would be, because he's already turned on his permissions to accept full disk access that he said up here in his notes. He basically enabled in its security, privacy and security in the accessibility settings, and given it full disk access. So the next step of this, if he's still getting a problem, would be a recreate. So we'll just try to recreate it for him if he does say so, and then kind of go from there. So yeah, let's just make sure that we know if he is chasing ghosts and it never worked, or if it worked at one point in time and then something happened and now it doesn't work. And then all we have to do is go back to the time of when it was working versus when it wasn't. What did he do differently? And so that way we can troubleshoot it that way. So there's a couple different ways to play him. So we'll see what happens. Adaptive perfection. Keep us posted, bro. Mac issues. I'm loving it. We're switching it up. Usually it's just like 40 Xbox issues, but we've been changing it. Oh, also, you know what's crazy? I was going through and I was trying to set this up so it can be on like a podcast or whatever, and I noticed that we were like almost 100 episodes in. That's crazy, man. Like okay, I struggle with commitment in general in life. In all factors, I struggle with commitment, even to this channel. And I love making videos. I love making content and doing this video kind of stuff, but I struggle with it, right? Because it's very hard to make it big, and I'm not really trying to make it big. I'm trying to make the channel grow so we can help more people in mass, right? Because I want to do giveaways. I want to give people computers for free and stuff like that. And I want to create something that can help a whole lot of people. But in order to do that, you have to be bigger than what I currently am. So it's a little off-putting, and it's hard to be focused on it because it kind of ebbs and flows depending on the situation, because sometimes you can be streaming to yourself. So you run into that a lot. And so for me, I struggle with commitment to anything, but the fact that I've made like 100 of these so far is like paramount. Like, I'm really happy about that. So it's something that I obviously enjoy if I'm able to do it that many times. So hey, just props out. I think this is the 93rd episode. So I don't know. I'm just so excited that I actually made it that far, because I just didn't think I could. But apparently we can. Apparently we have the power. Mini minute. My screen flashes just an edge. Is my GPU failing, or is it an edge issue? We worked this issue. So basically what ended up happening with him is that it wasn't really necessarily it was a program. So basically, whenever we were testing this, whenever he ran into incognito mode, he didn't have the problem anymore. So we assumed that it's going to be something with his extensions, right? Because that's the whole reason why you run in incognito mode. In quotations, that's the only reason why you run incognito mode. It's to test programs with extensions and make sure that the extensions are not having a problem. That's the only reason why we use in private mode. So that's why we were telling him that. You were like, hey, try in private mode and see if that fixes your extension. So we tried that, and it did. And he figured out that uBlock Origins, one of his extensions, was causing his problem. So we've been kind of going back and forth on that. So let's see here. Where I left off is I said I wouldn't say normal. Okay, yeah. So he was asking us, how often does this occur? So he says Firefox does seem to mitigate, if not completely fix the issue. I guess I'm switching to Firefox, LOL. And I'll definitely check out your YouTube channel. I'm sure I'll need more troubleshooting help in the future. And I was like, yeah, bro, of course. We're for you. I wouldn't say normal, but in my line of work, troubleshooting every technical issue under the sun, is very common for us to see issues like this. No problem, bro. Keep us posted and have fun with the Firefox. Oh, okay. I see. I won't worry too much about it then. It does happen in Firefox, but it's much less frequent than it is on Edge. Thanks. Okay, cool. Yeah, so those kind of issues there, whenever you're seeing flashes or any type of freezing in programs and applications, that usually is going to mean that some type of an application has been blocked. And what websites have been doing now that's a little bit smarter than what they used to do whenever pop-up blockers first came out is that whatever application that it ends up blocking, it may not show the entirety of the page, or it may take you to a wall garden telling you, hey, you may need to turn off your pop-up blockers in order to show the continuity of this page. So so basically they warn you nowadays, or they just won't show you anything, or it'll flash in his case. So yeah, that's generally what you run into whenever you're dealing with pop-up blockers. Okay, my first ITX with custom loop thoughts. Yo, that's a cool case. What is this? I've never seen this one before. What is this? Yo, I've seen a lot of RTX in my day, but that one looks different. Hey, it's pretty though. Oh my goodness. So it's basically a pretty ITX case. It's kind of small form factor. Let's take a look at this. It's definitely a small form factor case, but man, this thing is different. It looks like almost, okay, so the front of it looks a lot like the NZXT, well, not the NZXT. I think it's called the Height Revolve. Yeah, Height Revolve. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Height, if I can spell, Height Revolve. I usually have it sitting right next to me so I can actually pick it up and look at it. Yeah, it looks like the Height Revolt. Oh, sorry, Revolt. So that's what it looks like from the front, but the sides are totally different. So, I mean, still, it's pretty sweet, bro. That's a nice little build. And it's glass panel, so for an ITX build, that's pretty good. I mean, I'm not even gonna complain. I mean, hey, and on top of that, it's all liquid cooled, so congrats to him. So it's called the case is called Protolith Slate PC case. I haven't heard of this. Protolith Slate? Somebody's making a new build. Yo, this look clean, bro. a prototype slate case AQ. It's on pre-order. Okay, so they have a full perforated, similar to the Hype Revolt, and then they have a solid as well. So you have several different options for your panels, but it ain't cheap. I'm gonna start with that. It's not cheap. It's $325 for an ITX build. And yeah, it's super expensive, but it is super classy. It's very, very nice looking. Wow, it's pretty nice. What kind of graphics card does it support? Okay, so the technical data, so it has GPU clearance of up to 327 millimeters. If you're wondering if it'll fit your 4090, probably not. The Asus, I think, is 335, and the Gigabyte is somewhere around 340 millimeters. So more than likely not up to 3 to 4 slots. You might be able to try to squeeze one in there. Like if it was the Founders, obviously, yes. But if it was something a little bit bigger than that, you may have problems. But hey, man, it basically, it's almost exactly like the Height, but the Height can't fit a 4090 because the way that it enters in, it has problems with it. So the Height can't fit one. So it's basically the Height, and it has the exact same amount of clearance as the Height. So hey, you know, it's still a pretty good, it looks like a pretty good case. Plus it is very, very pretty. I like the power button. So yeah, Slate Case AQ on pre-order. I will take a look at that, maybe make a build out of it. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. So this is from Toodle. Toodle, let me just make sure. Okay, cool. Dell XPS 13 9360 not turning on 2 amber 5 white lights. What is that? Okay, a new laptop that was turned on before but never used, was sitting in desk for a long time but now won't turn on. Fully charged battery, then removed the CMOS battery and main battery. SSD, tried to F12 with no sign of life. Keyboard lights turn on and heatsink gets hot. Anyone know a fix? Laptop did not work before, thank you. A new laptop that was turned on before but never used, was sitting in desk for a long time but now won't turn on. Fully charged battery, then removed CMOS battery and main battery. SSD, tried F12 with no sign of life. Keyboard lights turn on and the heatsink gets hot. Anyone know a fix? Yeah, what happens if you plug a monitor into it? There should be a HDMI port on the side or back. It sounds as if the monitor may be dead. It sounds as if the screen may be faulty. Let me think what else could be. They've already tried, they said the battery was full, so the battery cannot be having a connection, but at the same time, also, is the laptop plugged into the wall when you test? Yeah, so we'll go with those two. It could also be a memory issue. It could be a few different things. So, but I'll go with power and I'll go with monitor, just because you said the heatsink gets hot. So that makes me think that it's not actually turning itself off. So it may actually be booting. You just don't have a picture, which makes me think that, you know, maybe you just have a monitor issue. So I would say the Dell XPS 13 9360. I would say for that guy, I would just hook up another monitor to it and see if it actually shows you a picture. Alrighty, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. Okay, so this, what is this? What happens with my monitor? Okay, so it looks like Oregon Trail. So basically his monitor turned into Oregon Trail, or it's basically a bunch of exclamation points going in order. So I'm not exactly sure. It almost looks, it looks more graphical than it does look monitor. That looks a bit more graphical than monitor, but if you, well, okay, I was gonna say to try to plug it in to another monitor to see if it makes a difference, but this monitor that he's talking about is like a Virago. Like, I don't even know that brand, so it's a possibility that this may be an older monitor, which means that he may not have multiple ones. In other words, if he had a better monitor, he'd be using it. So that looks a bit more graphical than monitor. Monitor, have you tried plugging your computer into your TV? Does it show a picture? Also, does the monitor show this without an input plugged in? So yeah, it doesn't. Okay, generally generally, okay, when we're talking about monitors, seeing something like that does not generally mean a monitor issue, right? Because if it's monitor or if there's something broken or cracked, it will either be like in straight lines and be like different colors, like pixelating colors, or it will be like a dead pixel, or it'll be a line across the same screen of dead pixels, something along those lines. This man got exclamation points going through his screen in a vertical array. Like, that's totally different. That just seems more like some type of graphical viral. Oh, it could be a virus. Oh, it could be a virus. Crap. Shows with this without an input plugged in. Also, this sounds like it may be something malicious. Does the screen work prior to Windows starting? If so, you may want to move your monitor, or I'm sorry, you may want to into safe mode and run Malwarebytes to check for anything malicious. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting one. We need more information. We need more clarity here, because it's kind of an interesting one. The way it shows it, it doesn't really seem like it's something graphical. It seems like it may be something. I'm sorry, it doesn't seem like it's something monitor related. It seems like it may be something more graphical. But without further ado, let's go ahead and go to the next one. All right, so this is from Disciple 144. Let me get a swig of water. Disciple 144 writes, graphical cards not detected. I have a Strix 4090 and it doesn't show up in the display adapter settings in device manager. I think it's showing up as unknown device. Okay. So that typically means that we may have a driver issue, and it's a 4090, which is awful. So for this one, did you perchance swap out the 12-pin GPU breakout cable with another one, which is what happened with mine? When you swap out the GPU cables on 4090s, you have to make sure that what you swap it out with is what you had. So like, for example, if it's a 4-pin, make sure you swap it out with a 4-pin. If it's a 2-pin, swap it out with a 2-pin. But if you have a 4-pin, swap it out with a 2-pin, it may not even power on. Like, literally, the computer won't power on. And typically 4090s tend to struggle when they are not using the 12-pin VPHR or whatever it's called cable that came with the box, unless it's a perfect match. What kind of motherboard do you have? What happens if you move the GPU to another PCIe slot? Does it show up then? Also, be sure to update your BIOS just in case that is the problem. And then he said, he gave me his specs, and I said, well, lucky for you, the 4090 is still in warranty. It's better to do a call, so call this one a wipe and proceed with the RMA than spend the rest of your days working on it. However, I would say to try uninstall the NVIDIA driver using DDU in safe mode, then reinstall the most up-to-date driver, because, you know, it's not showing anything in device manager. There isn't any NVIDIA driver installed as the motherboard can't detect the card. Yeah, it's over. I returned this card for a new one at Micro Center already, and the new one is giving me the same problems. What? Okay. Is it the same brand? What happens if you try in a different... Okay, I realize there's some folly with what I'm about to say, because depending on the motherboard, you can't try in different slots, right? Because you gotta understand, the 4090 is like an 80 slot card. You know, so you know, you may not be able to try in a different slot, but he may be able to. What happens if you try in a different slot? Does that make a difference? Yeah, that's kind of crazy, bro. He swapped it out and he's still having the problem. So it may be an issue with his motherboard and he may need to update his settings. Oh, also be sure to check the PCIe link speed settings in BIOS to make sure it's set to auto or Gen 4 or higher. That's what I was thinking about. So there is a situation where if you have it set to like Gen 3 or Gen 2, you may run into a situation where they're not showing a picture. And the fact that it's showing that it's not detected at all, so he can't install the driver, which means that he was probably plugged into the motherboard and showing a he never told us his CPU, so he's probably plugged into the motherboard, and that's how he was getting a picture, and it was telling him that he had no driver. So yeah, I would try to see if maybe the link speed is incorrect on his BIOS, or maybe reset his BIOS and kind of go from there. He may have to update. Did he already update his BIOS? I don't think so. Okay, so he didn't update his BIOS. So we'll also say maybe update the BIOS as well, or higher, as well as update the BIOS. Okay, so we'll go with that and we'll leave it alone. But yeah, that's what I would say for that one. It's kind of an interesting one that you replace it and you still have the problem. That's cray. That's cray. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. Live, you learn. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and go to the next one here. All right, so this is from this is from Des Bryant's mom. What you got to say about number 88? What was it? 88? Was that Des Bryant? Yes, it was. It was 88. What, you got something to say? It was a catch. I promise it was a catch. Desktop not connecting to the monitor. The other day I disconnected my desktop to clean out some dust. Just use a Q-tip, nothing crazy. I feel like I answered this question before. Like I'm getting deja vu. When I went to plug it back in, my computer was not getting signal to the monitor, so I tried to switch the HDMI cord with no luck. I also connected my laptop with both HDMIs and it worked just fine. Okay. His computer has two HDMI ports. Connected to my... Wait, what? The other day I connected my desktop. I also connected my laptop with both HDMIs and it worked just fine. Okay. So his laptop was able to connect to the monitor just fine. So I figure it's a GPU issue, and I tried my old spare card, which didn't work either. At this point, I was frustrated and took it to a PC repair shop. Guy calls me the next day and doesn't see anything wrong with it. Boot it up fine and project it to his monitor. I think, that's weird, and take it home only for it to not work when I plugged it in. See, that's why we exist, so we can help you before you actually take it someplace and lose some money. I have no idea how this is possible, and I'm frustrated beyond belief. Does anyone have any idea why this could be happening? I'm expecting it to be something stupid simple or at this point, but I don't know. Let me think about that. So he was saying that he had an issue with his desktop not being able to connect to his monitor. His laptop is able to connect to the monitor just fine, but his desktop is the one that's having the problem. He took it somewhere, they hooked it up to their monitor and they were fine. It's only with this monitor. Okay, he did not mention whether or not he used the same cables he used that were connected to the desktop, because he would have to unhook them in order to connect to the laptop. Well, you did not mention if the cables you were using for the desktop were the same cables you tested on the laptop. So I would start there first. Also, you said you had the same problem. Also, does your monitor have more than one input? It's not often that, y'all can't see that, I'm sorry. It's not often that people use HDMI as wow, I cannot type. HDMI as the first primary option. What probably happened is he tried display, said everything worked, and gave it back to you, meaning you may have a faulty HDMI cable. So generally when you take computers to places, they don't test HDMI first. No one does. It's not normal. The reason why it's not normal is because you test it on monitors, and typically monitors run display before they run HDMI because you have to pay for it. So well, at least they used to. I'm not sure if it's changed lately. Oh my God, this orange cup has been in the shot this entire time. Okay, well, it's been in the B shot, so it's only when I switch to B, but But yeah, so yeah, with this one here, it's a possibility that maybe they only tried with display cable, meaning that you may have a faulty HDMI cable, you just don't know about it. So I would, or maybe your HDMI cable is not pushed in all the way. So by you checking and replacing it, you're essentially making that change anyway. So we'll at least check and make sure that it's not a faulty HDMI cable hindering you to replace it anyway, and then kind of go from there. So yeah, that's what I would go with, Mr. Bryant, Mr. 88, and keep us posted, bro. All these names. We'll call him Joker. So Joker writes, Google Chrome taskbar shortcut doesn't have a right-click menu. I remember this. So basically, he has uninstalled and reinstalled Google Chrome several times, and he's been running into a problem where whenever he right-clicks, and I can show you. So like if we were, do I have Windows 11 back? I think we tested on Windows 10. Here, we'll test on Windows 11. So let's do this. Windows 11. All right, so basically when he clicks on Chrome or whatever, that's what happens. So basically when you right click on Chrome, and gives you options to run in private mode and stuff like that. So he doesn't have that option when he right clicks. So like if he was to right click on anything, you see you have a new and private window on these browsers, but for some reason he doesn't. So a good option for us will be to have him try Internet Edge to see if it makes a difference, and then kind of go from there. Because it may just be something that may be wrong, but it should affect all browsers and not just one. None of this worked, unfortunately. Install Firefox though, and it has the menu fine. Okay, so he's tried a different browser and that was okay. So a different browser worked just fine. It's only with Chrome. Let me think about that. So it's only with Chrome. What happens if you try the right click in safe mode? Does it show up then? It's almost like there may be something wrong with the extension itself, and maybe it's not showing up because of that. But the fact that it's working with other browsers, it is not working with Chrome, makes me think that there may be something up. But I'm not having that problem. We've tried it on Windows 10 and Windows 11. We don't have this particular issue. So it's going to be something with some type of application that he may be running, or maybe he has an antivirus or a firewall that's getting in the way. So a different browser works just fine. It only comes with Chrome, but it's only on Chrome. What happens if you try the right click in safe mode? Does it show up then? Also, do you have any type of antivirus, virus, or firewall that may be getting in the way? Try to disable them to see if it makes a difference. I used to have a situation with Office that would do something similar. So typically with Office and like Word apps, when you right click on it, it will show you the past documents that you've actually created. When I would right click, it wouldn't show anything, and I ended up having to clear the cache in order to fix it, which we've already had him do. We had him remove everything in his temp folder, but there used to be an option to clear the cache. Let me think about that for a second. So if we were when we were back on Windows 11, no. Okay, so maybe there is a setting that he could use. Well, let me think about that. That wouldn't necessarily, okay, maybe it's corrupted. Let's think about that. So he's tried to uninstall and reinstall, but he doesn't necessarily delete the actual file. He just uninstalls the program. Google Chrome remembers a lot of stuff because you don't necessarily delete the folder or delete the temp directory of where it's located. So it's a possibility that it has the same information, so wipe it. So let's remove all of his cookies in his settings. So let me see where that would be. So that would be tools, settings, and system, or reset settings. Restore settings to their original default. I don't know if I really want to do that. Default browser performance, autofill. I can't show this one because Chrome is, I have it separated. So Chrome is something that I use. Firefox and Internet Explorer, I don't. Firefox I use for work, and then Internet Explorer I use for this. So there's no cutover, right? So every time I click on Internet Explorer and I right click, I know it's legit. And you have to have that separation because somebody may use your computer and go someplace, and then you right click and you're trying to explain this in chat while you went to, you know, while you went to someplace you had no business going. But okay, privacy security. Okay, clear browsing data. Okay, privacy security, clear browsing data. That's what I was wanting to say. Can I show this? No, I can't. I can't. But I'll close it. Privacy security, clear browsing data. There we go. Okay, so privacy security, clear browsing data. Make a difference. Also, what happens if you go to settings, privacy and security, clear browsing data? Wow, why has all these been PC issues? We haven't had a single Xbox issue yet. I tried to shuffle them, I swear. I know I have Xbox questions, but we haven't had an Xbox issue. But yeah, go to privacy and security and clear privacy and security, clear browsing data. What happens if you go to settings and clear and privacy and security and clear browsing data? So I'm thinking that maybe his browsers or the things that it's trying to show you are corrupted, therefore it's not showing up. Therefore, if we just wiped it and have it try to create something new, that would fix the issue. Alrighty, Joker, keep us posted. And change your name. We were talking about this earlier. We just had this conversation. Change your name. You make it very difficult for us to run a show here. Okay, so this is from Particular Credit 2023. Pedro is judging you. PCMF's building a $5,000 setup just to stare at it. You know, I feel like you create setups just to stare at them at all times. You create cars to stare at them. You buy computers to stare at them. You date people and you stare at them. I mean, I feel like staring is what people do, and people pay money to stare at things. Like, that's what you do. Like, that's a very, very normal occurrence. Like, this sounds legit. Paying to stare sounds like a pretty normal thing for a guy to do. You buy a, how do you spell McLaren? McLaren to shine it and look, but not touch. LOL. Yes, you know, like it's like fancy cars. You just, I mean, they have a purpose, but just basically just to look at it. So yeah, I mean, sometimes they do serve purposes, but yeah, a lot of times it's really nice to just have a really nice, convenient screen to look at. And this person is doing way more than looking at his screen. That is a camera, good sir. Don't judge a book by its cover. Alrighty, this is from Neworth. Crucial.com. Crucial.com, high GPU usage. Okay. So he's talking about the website Crucial.com, and he was basically getting high GPU just by visiting the website. We're not even talking about running anything, and we're definitely not talking about memory. He's just talking about the website Crucial.com. Like, I don't even know who goes there. Most people just buy their Crucial off the store like everybody else. But we were like, okay, cool, we're interested. Let's go ahead and test it. So thank you for all contributions and thoughts. Thanks in advance. And we were like, okay, well, what happens if you test it in incognito mode? In private mode, does it make a difference? Hi, I just tested it. It doesn't make a difference if I'm using normal or incognito mode. I also checked this on another computer of mine and got the same results. What confuses me is that the fact that the GPU usage doesn't scale with the number of open tabs of Crucial.com. It's as if it's on purpose. Can you also confirm the high GPU usage on your machine? Of course we can, bro. That's what we do. All right, so let's, what version is he on? Is he on Windows 11, Windows 10? What you want to do? Okay, so he has a Ryzen 2600 with a 7900 XT. So we'll go 6900 XT and we'll go AMD. AMD, let's do this. AMD. All right, so let's think about this. So he said when he goes to, what browser was he using? He was using, what browser? Is that going? Okay, it's muted. Okay, I was just making sure. I was just making sure that wasn't loud. Okay. Right here. Okay, did he say what browser? Just browsing the web. He never mentioned what browser he was going to. So we'll just go Internet Explorer. Why not? So Windows 10. Internet Explorer. I'm sorry, I'm clicking on the wrong screen. Give me 1 second here. And I lost my mouse. And I got it back. Yay! We'll do the in private window. All right. So crucial.com. So he's saying his GPU utilization goes up. So the only way to see this is GPU Z. GPU Z. Ha! My man. Why did it show it like that? That was weird. Is that GPU Z on the right? Oh no, I'm sorry. I pressed it. I thought I pressed it on this computer, but it actually went into my actual computer. But yes, GPU Z. There we go. There we go. Yeah, that's fine, whatever. Yeah, well, I don't have any shortcuts, but sure. Just install it. Automatically video card GPU Z information utility. Sure. Try again. Ignore the error and continue. Did I break something? An error occurred. Try to replace the existing file. Okay, cancel the installation. Okay, I'm guessing it's already here. So GPU Z. Run as administrator. Oh, I'm stripping. No. There we go. Oh, it was already up. I'm tripping. Wow, I'm tripping hard. Okay, so we'll bring this up in the up here, and then we'll look at the GPU load, right? So we have GPU load is at 0 because it's a freaking 6900 XT and it's not doing anything. All right, so he said crucial.com. I'm down. Crucial.com here. Okay, crucial.com. It totally did that, bro. It totally did that. Hold up. Yo, it totally did that. We got that on film. Yo, they not lying. Wow, that's crazy. He's absolutely right. Hold up. He's absolutely right. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry. How can you forgive me, sir? I'm sorry. I was wrong. You were right. Okay, you are absolutely right. We were troubleshooting like idiots. We were absolutely right. It totally does that. We totally tested it here, and it totally does that. You are not alone. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, you need to stay away from crucial.com then, I guess. Who knew? Who would have thought of that? Like, that's crazy. Okay. Can you also confirm? Yup. Yep. Okay, let me move this out the way here. My cable is in the way. I got too excited. Now my cable's everywhere. Okay. Yep. Confirmed. Live on stream. It totally does this. It does this. My GPU went from 0 to 10%. I tested with a 3900X and 6900 XT to have similar results to yours. You are absolutely correct. Good sir. It totally does this. By the way, if you want to see the stream for yourself, it is for today's date, and we are, what time is it? 1 hour and 23 minutes in. We'll say 1 hour 23 minutes. 1 hour and 23 minutes in. And 23 minutes in. Okay, so just kind of let them know. By the way, if you want to see the stream for yourself, it is for today's date, and we are 1 hour and 23 minutes in. Channel is the Open Forum. There we go. So yeah, that's what apparently that's what happens. So you stay away from Crucial's website. If your GPU utilization is at 90%, you might not want to go to that website. I get why, because it has a lot of videos and moving images, but yeah, it automatically takes 10% GPU utilization off of your GPU there. So yeah, he's absolutely correct. It's exactly what he does. So you're not alone. Wow, that's the first time we did a rework and we were able to do that live. A lot of times when they have us do recreates, man, they put us in a situation where I can't show it. So it makes it a little difficult. But this one right here, oh yeah, we can test this no problem. It did exactly that. Our GPU went straight from 0 to 10 like it was nothing. So yeah, no, we can test this no problem, bro. So yeah. Wow. How many CPU cases have we had? We've had maybe like 15, and they've all been PC related. We haven't had any that have been gaming related. So I'm guessing these last two groups are going to be all PlayStation and Xbox or Switch. GPU purchased from miner won't display video out. Well, okay. All right. Here's what happens. Okay. So let's say you have 6 cards, right? And you have 6 cards and you have them all plugged into the PCIe slots on your motherboard, okay? Well, you only actually need to display a picture on one of them. So if you use it for a while, the others, they're not actually using or displaying an output. So you may think they're okay, but they're really not okay, and they don't have a fault. They don't have a picture anymore because they've been running hot for a very long time. So this is extremely common with mining graphics cards, and this happened with several of mine. I would say probably 10 to 15% of the graphics cards that I had this issue, because back when I started, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about mining and electricity. I knew about computers. So this happened a lot. And I didn't sell these, by the way. I didn't go cray and try to sell them to people, because when I was selling my graphics cards, the way I did it was, yeah, I did use it for mining, but here's what I'll do. If you have it and you have a problem with it and you have an issue, just go ahead and text me and I'll replace it with another one, because I had several of them. So that's the way I used to do it when I was selling them before I just gave them all away. So that's typically the way you should run mining graphics cards. If they say it's a mining graphics card, they should give you some type of a refund just in case there's a problem, because some people don't want to, because we got to understand, you got to create a rig, put it in the rig, test it to make sure it works, take a video, upload the video, then the video's too big, then you got to modify the video, then you try to put it on YouTube, then you don't know how to create a link, and now your channel only has this one video, then it's a poor resolution, then they can't see, then they may not even decide they want it anyway, or they decide to buy a different card. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot when it comes to buying graphics cards, and it's a lot of work, all for, $100, $200, $300. I get that that's expensive in some situations, but it's a lot of work to show someone that a card works. It's easier to just put it in a box and give it to somebody. So this happens a lot. You can definitely see this happening a lot. And especially in this kind of community and climate that we're in, where people are buying cheaper graphics cards because, Ethereum moving to proof of stake. So right now I'm thinking, I don't even know if I read this, so I'll just go back and read it. Hello, I recently purchased a Zotac 3060 Ti from a crypto miner for a pretty good price, and needed a lot of TLC, as in replacing the thermal pads and replacing the GPU and pretty much cleaning the entire thing with isopropyl essentially. Right now, when I try to boot the GPU, the system posts, and I'm pretty sure that it loads into Windows, but it will not display. Currently, I won't have a CPU with an iGPU for the next couple of days. The reason as to why I think the system loads into Windows is because my peripherals light up as if they were loaded into Windows. So I can't confirm anything right now. Unfortunately, right now I'm thinking that the GPU just has a mining BIOS on it, but I've never had to deal with that before. What are my steps going forward? Am I screwed? Any help would be appreciated. Yeah, you are. Well, from a former miner, I would tell you this is pretty common. I'm not about to say everything that I said to y'all, because that's way too much to type. So we'll say it like this. This is pretty common. See, if you have 6 cards on a single motherboard, only one needs to display a picture. So if the other lose the ability to, due to overheating or overclocking of the memory, then it's difficult for anyone to notice, because they would still work. So yeah, it sounds more like the GPU is shot. you may be able to call the owner up and have him swap it out with another card. That's what I used to do, man. If they was like, hey, I got this 3060 from you, it's has a problem, for some reason it won't show a picture, I'd be like, sure, no problem, meet me somewhere and we'll swap it out. I give him another 3060. It wasn't a big deal. Yeah, but you gotta tell them the truth, man. That happens. That is super common with mining graphics cards. And you know, and a lot of times, like when I was selling my 3060s and my 3060 Ti's, like my 3060s I sold for like, okay, I think I sold them for like 300. So they were super cheap. I was selling them for like 300 and like 2 for 500. So in terms of a good deal, it's an excellent deal. I was just trying to get rid of them, you know what I mean? So yeah, it happens a lot, and you're gonna run into that kind of a situation where you have cards like that and people are trying to sell it for a really good price, but you may wanna test it and hook it up to a computer before, you know, and some people ask you to go ahead and try to hook it up to a computer and show that it works, but that is just way too much work. And then by the time you actually get it to them, they're already bought it from somebody else. So it's a pain. It's a pain. That's why I just gave it away to another company and let them test it. Alrighty, this is from Asakuna. Dead GPU. Today, my PC randomly shut off. I opened my case full of dust, unfortunately. I cleaned it out and I tried turning my PC back on and it's giving me a Q code of 97. My GPU light is flashing on but staying off after boot. Do we have any Xbox? Okay, Xbox One. Okay, cool. Are there others Xbox 2? Okay, maybe not. Okay, AM5. Okay. There are Xbox questions, I promise. it's just I don't know. It's just been a lot of PC questions. Whenever I choose questions, I get all the repeats, right? And then I get Xbox, I get PC, I get support, I get anything that's available that people haven't already taken. So like if it has 100 views on it or 100 replies, I'm not about to reply because 9 times out of 10, one out of that 100 has probably already answered the question, unless it's funny. So I usually take ones that most people don't reply to. So dead GPU. Yeah, we already talked about that. I think you were saying you tried to bypass. No, this is a new one. Okay, so I cleaned it out. My GPU light is flashing on but staying off after boot. The VGA light is red as well. My PC turns on when the GPU is disconnected and my display is plugged into the motherboard. We were asking for clarification on that. So on this one, I'm not quite sure I followed. Is your display port really going into the motherboard or is it going to the graphics card? I think you were saying you tried to bypass the GPU by plugging the display directly into the motherboard, which is fine. However, the GPU needs to be unhooked from the motherboard for this test to be valid. Also, I would try to update the BIOS and try a different PCIe lane just to be sure. Also, what CPU do you have? I've tried both, to the GPU and the motherboard, DisplayPort and HDMI to the GPU, neither worked, obviously. Well, okay, just be fancy, okay. I'm not offended at all. And my motherboard only has DisplayPort, which I tried, and works when the GPU is unplugged. Okay, and my motherboard only has display, which I tried and it works when the GPU is unplugged. BIOS is updated, already reset CMOS a couple times, trying different setting variations, tried both PCIe lanes. Wow. Checked the PSU cables for burns or short marks, cleaned out as much dust as I could, and let the GPU out to sit and cool down. Also nothing. My CPU is an i7-11700K. Damn. Okay, well. Crud. Well, it's not looking too good, bro. It's not looking too good, bro. He's tried a different PCIe lane. Still has a problem. He's tried it without the graphics card. Issue resolved. Okay, so either he's looking at a faulty motherboard or he's looking at a faulty GPU, but it sounds more like he's looking at a faulty GPU. It sounds more like you're looking at a faulty GPU or faulty, and to a lesser extent, and to a far lesser extent, faulty PSU cables or faulty PCIe lanes on the motherboard. But it's like 75, 15, 10. So there is an extreme possibility that your motherboard, I'm sorry, motherboard, possibility that your GPU is faulty. Sorry about that, bro. Sorry about that, bro. Yeah, just go ahead and rip off the band-aid at that point. He's done everything. He's unhooked, he's reseated, he's done everything that he possibly can, yet he still has the problem. So it appears that that may be what's going on with him. Sorry, bro. It's time to pull off the band-aid on that one. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. Ah, PlayStation. About time. I was wondering. We went through 30 cases and none of them were console related. Okay, fine. Is this on? No. Is it on? Okay, now it's on. All right, so flickering white dots all over screen, audio cuts out every few seconds. Okay, I'm down. Oh, you see that? It's pretty. Okay, well, there's no sound. It's just the flickering. I mean, I would think it would be dead pixels, but it's consistent on his. So, okay. Well, I thought that was very anticlimactic, but okay. Well, there's not a whole lot to test. Let me grab the PlayStation controller. I think it's already up. Okay, yeah. So there's not a whole lot to test on this guy. Oh, I don't want to play that game. Oh, no. This was from testing somebody else's issue, but there's not a whole lot to test here. If he's like in his settings or whatever, and obviously he's on the PlayStation 4, but the settings and everything are still the same. So if he's here and he's basically saying that he's getting little white dots and specks and everything, that typically means that you may have an issue with the HDMI connection or the HDMI output, or just the graphics of the actual device itself. Now, if you take that same PS5 or PS4 in this case and the HDMI cable and plug it into a television, a different television, does it give you the exact same specs? If it does, change out the HDMI cable and see if that makes a difference. If it doesn't, it's the actual console itself. So let's go ahead and move back here and let's explain that to him. So with this one, take the PS4 and HDMI cable and test it on a different TV. If the white particles are still there, swap out the HDMI cable. If it's still there, then the PS4 may be having some issues with its GPU and so I would suggest cooling, and I'll explain why. I would suggest not cooling, but cleaning out any dust as well as rebooting to see if it makes a difference. You're not gonna fool me again. I'm always gonna put that rebooting from now on. Okay, so yeah, so there's a reason for that I say it this way, right? If it's still there, then the PS4 may be having some issues with its GPU. So I would suggest cleaning it out and removing any dust, as well as rebooting to see if it makes a difference. So if the white particles are still there. So here's the thing with the white particles that he was talking about. What was interesting is that the white particles was the best way to say this, they were going in and out, like they were like stars. So they would go in and go out and go in and go out, and it was a random pattern. Okay, because it was a random pattern, that typically means that it's not a dead pixel, right? Because if a dead pixel was going out, it's only going to be that pixel, and it's going to happen over and over and over again. This was random, like it was completely random, and on top of that, they were coming in and out. So because they were going in and out, it sounds like you may have more or less a GPU issue with a GPU that's overheating or too hot, and therefore I would say go ahead and clean it out and make sure that there's no dust that's getting in the way. Like you may have it in a place where it's being suffocated, or it may be a problem that the device just needs to be rebooted. So it may be one of those kind of situations, or maybe we're playing it a little wrong here. So, well, we're playing it right, but maybe he's playing it a little wrong. So we'll go ahead and tell him to go ahead and clean it out and try a reboot and see if it makes a difference. And we'll take it light and see how that goes, and then kind of go from there. Okay, Sir Punk. No. I promise these names are gonna be the death of me, man. No, I'm not saying your name. What is up with y'all? Jesus. Okay, okay, I'm not calling this man stupid. We'll call him Yo. Yo says, what should I do if my laptop's battery is swollen? The first thing I was gonna say is get ice. Hold on. Yeah, just get some ice on it, baby. Just put some ice on it. It'll be all right. You just got hit. You just got clocked. Next time you need to bob and weave. You gotta duck. You can't just be sitting there and letting people hit you. Who hit you like that? I'm gonna go talk to his mama because he don't need to be hitting you like that. Go put some ice on it, baby. Go get one of them steaks out the freezer. And put it on your laptop because it's swollen. But yeah, I would say put some ice for the swelling. Put some ice for the swelling. Put some ice on it for the swelling. On it for the swelling. On it for the swelling. And a replacement battery for the bloating. LOL. Yeah, you gotta put some ice on that, baby. Put some ice on that, baby. You'll be okay. Replace it before you end up in r/spicy pillows. My favorite stuff. He already kind of has. All that needs to be done now is open the back cover and take some pics to post there. Thank you for showing me this glorious stuff. I'm not even gonna click on it, y'all. I'm afraid. I'm so afraid. So yeah. Yeah, it looks like it's a little bloated, bro. It looks like it gained some weight. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and go to the next one here. Hey, Xbox One. There we go. I think we may have had some Xbox Ones, but we have gone through them so quickly without actually clicking on the Xbox input. It makes me feel like we haven't done any Xbox issues, but it is what it is. Xbox One, the Alchemic Bird says, I have 4 controllers for my Xbox One console. I use each one regularly. As of last night, while a game was installing, none of them were working. All day yesterday, I was able to play just fine, but as I installed game Mortal Shell, they all stopped working. So we've been going back and forth about this. Where I left off is I had said, so it works when you're closer, is that correct? How many controllers are we talking about? What about if the controller is plugged in directly to the Xbox? Does that resolve the issue? No, I have it plugged in. I'm using an old phone charger to connect it to the console. Okay. But okay, what he's talking about is like he has an old USB-C cable. So he's just using a regular USB cable. And I'm using an old phone charger to connect it to the console, but I contacted Xbox support and they believe the wireless detector thing in the console might be messed up. Yep. I'll be bringing it into a friend who works with these later this week. Thank you for the assistance though. Yeah. Yeah. I had a feeling, but wanted to exhaust every option that was cheaper. Glad you are able to get a hookup on that. All the best, bro. By the way, if you have issues in the future, we run a I'm gonna put this on the OneNote so we can say this a lot more often. All the best, bro. By the way, if you have issues in the future, we run a live stream named The Open Forum where we shoot issues just like this. So if you have a problem, feel free to reach out. There we go. If you have issues in the future, we run a live stream named The Open Forum where we troubleshoot issues just like this. So if you have a problem, feel free to reach out. There we go. Control C. Reply. Put it in our OneNote. Yeah, that's better. That actually sounds better. Oh no, it did not copy. It did not copy. Hold on. Let me make sure I grab that properly. Okay, Control C. I'm pretty sure we're on Windows. Let me make sure we get that. There we go. Got it that time. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and go to our next one here. That is an assist trophy and we will take it. I don't have the button for assist. I was trying to create them before the channel stream, but I'll do it. I'll do it sometime tonight or tomorrow so that I'll actually have a button for it, but we're getting there. We're getting there. We just got this new setup, so I'm trying to get everything set up properly. So we're getting there. We're making progress. All right, let's go to the next one here. This is from Vinny the Trash. Xbox One fat, not reading Xbox One discs. I have the Xbox One fat, the big one, and it is having problems reading Xbox One discs. It will read the disc in rare occasions, but most of the time it just won't, and will say that the disc is scratched or dirty even if I try with a brand new disc. I managed to find a somewhat reliable way to make it work, but I have to insert the disc, then turn the video game off by holding the power button for 10 seconds, then turn it on again. This method don't work 100% of the time, or works most of the time, but I'm afraid this might damage the console if I do it a lot. I thought it might have some defective piece that isn't reading discs. However, it only happens with Xbox One discs. It reads Xbox 360 games with no problem. They work 100% of the time if I try them. Anyone else had a similar problem or know what might be happening? Okay. So back in the day, we used to have a situation. Okay, was this on the Xbox? Okay, I know I've done it on the PlayStation. Oh no, I did it on the Switch, but I know the Xbox and the PlayStation, they had something similar. But back in the day, we used to get these CDs, right? That you can buy from like, okay, Blockbuster, or you can buy it from like Walmart or Target or whatever. And it'll be a CD, right? But when you flip it over, there were bristles on the CD, on the bottom of it, and they were for cleaning. So you could basically put it in like a CD player or a DVD player, and it will clean the laser that reads the discs. So it will just brush off any dirt and debris that was causing you problems from reading discs. And we used to have that for the Nintendo Switch. We just slide it in, let it clean a little bit, and then it'll pop it back out. And I'm guessing that some of the other consoles had it, but I may be dating myself because the Xbox One is Blu-ray. So I'm not exactly sure if that's something that's similar for that, that they have that back in the day we didn't have. You see what I'm saying? It may be something new. So there may not be a way to actually fix something like that. But yeah, it typically means that there may be some particles on the laser that's reading the disc, or there may be the laser disc itself may be having a problem. So yeah, I'll just explain. I'll just say that and see how it goes. But I don't know if it's to be true. You know what? We could probably look this up. Xbox One cleaning disc. Maybe there is a thing. Xbox One cleaning disc. How to clean an Xbox disc. What? Without opening it. So why is my Xbox not reading game disc? How to clean disk drive on Xbox One to fix your Xbox One disc. Yeah, sure. Xbox disk drive stays in good working order. How to deal with other disk drive issues. Blah blah blah. As we all know, tough. Blah blah blah. Everyone's going to make the jump. Blah blah blah. Oh my God! Just tell me the answer. If your machine isn't recognizing a disk when you've inserted one, or you're experiencing issues during playback during your game, the first thing to do is check the diskets. Okay. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. There are guides in cleaning it. We'll call it that. There are guides for cleaning it. Flickering white dots. We already did that. We already did that. Okay, we're here. By the way, if you have an issue like that, okay, I'm sorry. That's the wrong one. How do you just randomly click on one? Yeah, there used to be a disk you can pop in that would clean the laser. That would clean the laser ball head. So ball head of any debris, but I doubt that is a thing anymore. There are guides to cleaning the laser, but personally, I would say it may be better. It may be better to see if you have the ability to RMA the device. It may be safer. I worry that if he opens it and tries to clean, he may have a problem trying to return it. It may violate the warranty. You see what I'm saying? I'm not exactly sure what the jurisdiction is, so it's better for us to tell him to go ahead and try an RMA and see if he can RMA it than for us to tell him to go ahead and try to clean it based on one of those other links that we saw. So yeah, I would go with that. But yeah, there used to be a way to clean those, but nowadays it's probably not, because, you know, it's become a dying breed using CDs. So I'm not exactly sure if that's still a thing these days, but probably not. So yeah, that's what I would do for that one. Alrighty, so God Panda, we'll go with that. My grandma's basement isn't too bad, thanks to everyone who helped answer my questions. I'm finally done with my first build. We were talking about this. So we were looking at his build and we were like, bro, like at this point in time, if you don't put a camera behind these monitors, and I can show y'all what I'm talking about here. And so look, like his build, like it looks like he's ready to actually, you know, stream and stuff like that. I was like, hey, if you don't put a camera behind those monitors, I'm gonna come down there and give you a scolding myself, because like I see myself in him with this kind of a build. Like you upgrade and you upgrade and you'll upgrade, but at some point in time, you have to get on camera. You have to do something. You see what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times we get caught up in this situation of always constantly upgrading or always constantly learning and listening, but never actually taking that information and applying it and doing something with it, because that is the next logical step. But some of us don't make it. Sometimes we just sit in limbo. And taking from a person who has spent a lot of his time in limbo, I would suggest to go ahead and put up a camera and start making money and doing something with this beautiful setup that he currently has, instead of wasting it away. You see what I'm saying? So I just kind of wanted to give the young fella a heads up from an old cat that's been doing this for a very, very long time, that you go ahead and do it. So I said, bro, if you don't put a camera behind that monitor and start streaming, I will personally come to your house, say hi to your grandmother, go downstairs and scold you myself. He said, I've streamed before, but not consistently. When my PC finally working how it should be, I'm more motivated than ever. My man. Glad to hear it. All the best, bro. Yo, we gotta help people, man. That's the job. That is the job. We help people. We help them. So hey, that is a W, man. I don't have any of my icons yet. Oh, I think I do have W. Hold on. Oh no, I don't have it on this input. Okay, so whatever. I will have my inputs for W here in a little bit, but they're funny. So yeah, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. How can I fix this error message? There is not enough memory. Okay, so now we're back on PlayStation. Good. So we're changing it up a little bit. It's not all computer related. So let's go here. That way I can see it. How can I fix this error? So basically the error is saying there is not enough free system memory. But here's the thing. He is playing on a PlayStation and it says it doesn't have enough free system memory, and he is trying to open YouTube. So for this one here, I open a link to YouTube I sent a friend when I found a podcast I want to play. Whenever I click it, I get this error message. How can I fix this problem? My console storage is less than half full. My SSD storage is half, and I already restarted. Not sure what problem is and would really appreciate some guidance and support. Thank you. Okay, well, are you playing a game currently? Usually it means there is a game in the background and it's unable to open the application due to the game eating the memory, or maybe the memory is faulty. So let me think if there can be anything else. Also, be sure to update the firmware on the PS5 to make sure that isn't the problem. All right, we'll go with those two. One common, one uncommon. It doesn't seem to be opening the video YouTube app. It's not the YouTube app. I want to, okay. It doesn't seem to be opening. Okay, this is somebody else saying, it doesn't seem to be opening the YouTube app. I'd open it via the phone app, the PlayStation app, searching for the exact error on Reddit. Seems to indicate that if you clear the browser's cache, that might fix it. It's not a YouTube app. I went to friends, then sent a message with a youtube.com link to my friend. It opened on the browser and I was able to find the video and play it. It played for a second, but then kept popping this error message, but I just tried clearing my cache from the settings and it worked. Thank you. Oh, okay. So he cleared his cache. Okay. Well, I'll just stop talking. All right. How do you go from a W to an L so fast? Just saw the reply. I will shut up now. I'm gonna take my L and walk with my tail between my legs. That's a good one. That's a good one. We'll keep note of that. So if it's opening up a browser extension, you can fix it by by removing the cache. Okay, good to know. Alrighty, well, that's a nice little L. So an individual, thanks. That's actually a different issue. I haven't run into that one before. So hey, new issue, that happens. Alrighty, I think many can relate. Still and share this meme I made. People see my PC and think I'm rich. Bro, I'm just irresponsible. That is a little accurate. Accurate. I feel this is the same way about most things, most luxuries in life. I got this Tesla. Oh yeah, that's a nice Tesla. Well, my payment is $750 a month. But man, it's a nice Tesla, man. I'm saving so much on gas and I'm spending it on my mortgage and my rent. So, I mean, you know, it's like that. Some people, I'm not saying that some people can't afford it. I'm just saying that a lot of times people like to project. It's kind of like the natural way of things, especially when you're younger, until you realize no one cares. But a lot of times people like to project. So yeah, I definitely see that. And projecting on computers is very much so a thing, because I'm turning around looking at my computer with 89 different colors of the rainbow. But yeah, it's definitely a thing. Just bought more storage. My bank has to text me asking if I want a fraudulent purchase, if this was a fraudulent purchase. Oh my God, I can't even say it. Just bought more storage. My bank has to text me asking if this was a fraudulent purchase. That is hilarious. He deserves an up. My bank started to get used to it. Yo, yeah, I do that too. I have a lot of storage, man. I have like 10 terabytes on each individual device. I have 10 terabytes on stuff that don't even need drive space. So yeah, I definitely get that feeling. Alrighty, this is from Matt Black Irby. Hey, a name I can say. AM5 platform, but no display issues. So, hello all. I have a 7900 XTX Hero with a Gigabyte Gaming overclock 4090. My monitor, Samsung Neo G8, doesn't always pick up a signal, and I'll have to flip the switch on my power supply off and back on to make it try again. Always works. Any ideas as to why this happens? What? Have a 7900 XTX X670E Hero with a Gigabyte Gaming overclock 4090. Okay, I have the exact same build. 7950X, but 7900X as well. My monitor, Samsung Neo G8, doesn't always pick up a signal, and I'll have to flip the switch on my power supply off and back on to make it try again, which always works. Any idea as to why this is happening? Yeah. Well, how do you have the 12-pin connected? Do you have all 3 plugs going into it? I'm sorry, 3. All 4 plugs going into it. Also, be sure to push, well, okay, if pushing it all the way in is going to be the problem here, because if he reboots, like cold boots, which is what he's doing, it fixes it. Yes, well, how do you have the 12-pin connected? Do you have all 4 plugs going into it? Also, be sure to update the BIOS of the motherboard just in case there is an issue there. Also, what happens if you swap to HDMI instead of display? Does it show a picture 100, if I can spell 100% of the time then? Also, what happens if you swap to HDMI instead of display? Does it show a picture 100% of the time then? Yeah, we'll go with that. I'll leave it at that. So this is an issue with the 40 series cards. I see new AM5 platform. Some vendors have BIOS issues, updates. Yep, it's definitely, that's what I said, the same thing. Okay. Yeah, well, how do you have the 12-pin connected? Do you have all 4 plugs going into it? Also, be sure to update the BIOS of the motherboard just in case there's an issue there. Also, what happens if you swap to the HDMI instead of display? Does it show a picture 100% of the time then? I have this exact same card, so I can, I have this exact same card just in case you need a reference. Yeah, I don't run into that problem. But yeah, I'm willing to test something if he needs me to test it. Alrighty, so Matt Black Irby, keep us posted, bro. But yeah, that's what I would think on that. Typically, whenever you have the 79 series AMD platform, it is very, 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 very important for you to update the BIOS. Jesus Christ. If you do not update the BIOS for an AM5 platform, you're in for a world of hurt. I mean, a world of hurt. I mean, it may take 20 minutes for it to boot type of world of hurt. Like, it's really bad. Like, it's horrible. Unless you update the BIOS. You have to get to the most up-to-date BIOS and then do stuff. Like, that should be the first thing that you do, because if not, you're gonna be in for a horrible time. Like, I've never run into a situation that was as bad. We're talking about a guy, like I had the 3900X. I have 2 of them. I had, you know, older versions. I had the Phenom 1100T. This is how far back I go with AMD. I had the Phenom 1100T, and I still didn't have this issue. I've never had a situation the way I had a situation now with the 7900 series cards. Like that, when I got that 7950X with the Mini ITX X670E Asus, that right there was one of the most complicated cards, because if you're having a memory issue, you have no way of knowing. It takes 20 minutes to boot. It could be memory, or it could be motherboard, or it could be graphics card. There's only one way to know, and that's wait 20 minutes. But waiting 20 minutes doesn't prove who's causing the problem. If it shuts up and if it starts up and then immediately shuts down, you may have an issue with the motherboard. If it starts up and it doesn't show anything, or it doesn't start up at all, it may be the memory. If it doesn't even try to start up, it may be the motherboard. But you have no way of troubleshooting if everything takes 20 minutes. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. I was so frustrated until I update the BIOS. So with the AM5 platform, I implore you to always update the BIOS before you do anything. Okay, I went off on a complete tangent when it comes to AM5, but yeah, that's the way I feel about it. I gotta be honest. But outside of that though, it's been great. Once you get it going, it's not so bad. But I would have liked to have 128 gigs of RAM, but that's just my pride talking. Because I have a build and it's pretty, and I would like it to be prettier with 4 sticks instead of 2. But outside of the pride talking, it's been pretty good. Trying to buy a DLC for a 360 game but can't even search for it through the app. Hey y'all, what's up homie? I've been trying to purchase the DLC for Oblivion, Elder Scrolls, and read that it has to be purchased online or through the app. I tested this, it does not work on the Series X or through the 360 store via emulation. Emulation? So I just downloaded the Xbox app, and maybe I'm crazy, but the search feature seems barely functional. I can't find a way to pull up the DLC, even if I type the word. Any help is appreciated, thanks in advance. Trying to buy DLC for a 360 game, but can't even search for it through the app. Okay, well, I mean, he's talking about the Xbox Series X, Xbox One X. So, I mean, I'm down. Let's take a look. Wake up, Xbox. All right, so he's trying to buy what? Oblivion. Okay, so Elder Scrolls. I think there's only one game named Oblivion, by the way. Oblivion. Yeah. Oblivion. Included with Game Pass. Cool. And Knights of the Nine. The Fighter Stronghold. Okay, so I'm guessing he's trying to download one of these. And add-ons. Okay. Okay. It's $281 with Game Pass. I mean, where is he having the problem at? I mean, I can see it. Okay, so where is he having the problem? I just downloaded the Xbox app. You have the games through the DLC through Microsoft Store website. Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to say. Well, we just checked this. Check this. You can buy through the store on the Xbox One X UI page. Just search for Oblivion. Click on the game and scroll down. There you will find the add-ons. Hope that helps, bro. Keep us posted. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. So yeah, it's there. It's just an add-on. You have to click on the actual game and then just go down and it'll show you all the add-ons for that game. So Xanthan, I hope that helps, bro. Keep us posted. All right, this is gonna be the last one for today. What time is it? 9:04. That's not too bad. It's a little earlier than normal, but we'll call it at that. So this is from DMM Doblum. Disk drive excessively loud when installing games. Hey y'all, I got my Xbox Series X last September and the disk drive has always been a bit noisy from time to time. Lately though, the noisiness has been more consistent, and when installing games specifically, the console even vibrates ever so slightly. I've seen some folks over on Xbox Series X mention putting foam pads underneath the console to mitigate one or both of these issues, and it seems to have worked well for some users. Has anyone on here tried that? Did it work? Would something like a large mouse pad accomplish the same purpose? Yeah, it would. Also, for context's sake, I kept my console horizontal on this specific TV stand. Oh, we already worked this issue. Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, we already worked this issue. And also, we could probably add to that. Also, a mouse pad wouldn't be a bad idea. Also, a mouse pad wouldn't be a bad idea. I would try that first if you have it lying around. Yeah, let's add to that. Because yeah, that's not a bad idea, man. Try a mouse pad and see if it makes a difference. I haven't noticed it, but at the same time, I'm literally talking with the mic and I'm shaking the desk. So it's kind of hard for me to be like, oh yeah, the desk isn't shaking when I'm the one shaking it. Okay, and we're gonna stop it right there. That is gonna do it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like this video, go ahead and like button. If you really like it, go and subscribe. I love you either way. Take care, all the best, and bye. I will see you tomorrow.